Welcome back. Coming up, we've got Richmond Rugby Club. They're putting the latest in men's underwear to the test.
Now then, 3 weeks ago, we put 3 ladies on 3 of Hollywood's most popular diets, made famous by Liz Hurley, Marty McCutcheon and Kim Cattrall. But which diet has been the most effective? Well, with us now is nutritionist Rachael Hill. Rachael, I mean, is it easy for a normal person to do one of these diets as opposed to someone who has a great swathe of nutritionalists and personal trainers?
Chefs.
Yeah,
Chefs, yes.
I think that's the way diets work is they make it easy for people to follow. They're not necessarily great things to do long term for health, but they do, most of them try and make it fairly easy. We've got one here that isn't particularly easy, but we'll get onto that later. But
Let's start with Liz Hurley's. We've got her, well, her likeness here anyway, looking very slim and very gorgeous. She is purported to be on the hay diet, and so we put Jill Fuller onto the hay diet. Jill is in her 40s. She's a local education advisor, and before we started the diet she was 12.8 stone. So first of all, explain the hay diet and then we'll meet Jill.
Okay, the hay diet, pretty much represented here. Really simple. It says that you shouldn't eat proteins and carbohydrates together. A lot of people love it because of its simplicity. Once you know what's a protein and what's a carbohydrate, you just don't eat them together in the same meal, and that's basically the whole basis of the diet.
And that's called food combining.
Yeah, it's food combining.
And what about health reasons? What do what do the health specialists say about this?
Well, anytime when you're taking out huge food groups from a meal, you can result in an imbalanced diet, and that can certainly happen with the hay diet. The good thing about it is it will promote that you eat more fruit and vegetables and unrefined carbohydrates, things like whole grains and brown breads, and so it's got some positives. But the downside is that you're messing around with your food groups really, so you're bound to end up with something that's fairly imbalanced.
Well, let's meet Jill now. Oh no, we see a before shot of Jill. This is Jill who took the hay diet. She has just had a baby and she wanted to lose enough weight to fit back in her clothes. Now, this is as she was with all her statistics. She was 12 stone 8 pounds, and Jill is here now. Jill, how did you find the hay diet?
I did find it quite easy to follow, and once I'd worked out this kind of food groups, I found it really quite easy to follow, and I've enjoyed being on it, yes.
Well, now, bearing in mind you had a baby only 4 months ago, you are looking very good indeed.
Thank you.
So, on the diet, which you've been doing for how many weeks?
Just over 3 weeks.
OK, do we know how much you have lost?
I think I've lost about 12 pounds.
12 pounds?
Yes.
I think the thing to say about this diet is there is no scientific evidence behind. There's absolutely no reason why you can't eat carbohydrates and proteins together. It's just a fad thing that's, to develop a diet. So, but I think Jill's weight loss is mostly because she's cutting out all the rubbish, really, the chocolates and the refined foods and the alcohol and.
Yes, I will do. I think it's quite an easy, as I say, it's easy, and it encourages me to eat lots of vegetables, lots of fruit and fresh things like that. So I think I will stick with it, certainly till I get down to my complete target weight, yeah.
Terrific. Well done. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm also thrilled to find out you actually don't have to eat hay, which is something that I made the mistake of when I saw it the first time. I thought, that's ridiculous. You can't possibly do that. Now, Marty McCutcheon shed inches on the blood group diet. Now, there are 4 blood types with their matching diets, and they involve going vegetarian or eating mainly meat or dairy products. Now, Sarah Towner is blood group A. She had to go on a high-carb and low-fat vegetarian diet. She hoped to lose 4.5 pounds. So we'll see her in just a moment. Let's just discuss this diet then. So this is the complicated one.
This is
First of all, you've got to know your blood group to start with.
You've got to know your blood group. Depending on your blood group, there are a whole list of foods that you can't eat and then other ones that you can. It's based on absolutely no scientific evidence whatsoever. It's total nutritional hocus pocus. And again, it's like the first one we mentioned, when you're sort of cutting out large groups of food from your diet, you're much more likely to end up with an imbalanced, nutritionally deficient diet. So it's nonsense, really, this diet.
So we discovered that Sarah's blood type was
A.
Which meant that she could eat what, or couldn't eat what?
She could eat fish, turkey, chicken, seeds and nuts, so obviously healthy foods, which is again why the weight loss probably does occur when you go on this diet. She wasn't allowed to eat any red meats, any dairy. Of course, they're going to carry with them quite a lot of fat, so again, it's going to help with the weight loss. Quite bizarrely, she wasn't allowed to eat bananas, which most people who are dieting love bananas. but she wasn't allowed to eat them. And again, I think the only good thing about the diet is it probably would raise your awareness about what you're eating and what's not so good for you and what
It
is.
sounds incredibly fatty. We've got Sarah's before. So here's what Sarah was like before. She's 15.4 stone, and we'll find out now as we see her as she is today, after being on this diet, whether or not she's managed to lose any weight. And there she is now. So how much have you lost on this diet?
About 4.5 pounds.
Well, I mean, is that and do you think that is down to the fact that you were eating less? Rather than eating the stuff that was supposed to be good for you in your diet. Was it the sort of thing that you would keep up?
Not really, it's a very difficult diet.
A problem Sarah found, which anyone would find on this diet, unless you're a single person living alone, everyone in your family is likely to have different blood groups. So unless you're prepared to cook 3 or 4 different meals for everybody who's sitting down at the table together, it becomes, you know, very, very difficult to follow.
And that's a lot of effort. When you're dieting for 3 weeks, to lose only 4.5 pounds is rather disheartening, isn't it?
It is.
Especially when it's as difficult as that.
It was.
Terrific.
Well,
okay,
Sarah,
so
you would be kicking that one into touch then. We don't
thumbs
like that
down
one.
on that one.
And talk to Rachel later about what you should be doing, perhaps. OK. Now, Kim Cottrell lost pounds on the South Beach diet, whatever that means, which involved mixing the right carbohydrates with the right fats. And Leslie Cuthbertson hoped to lose 9 pounds over her 3 weeks of dieting on the South Beach diet. So, Rachel, tell us about South Beach diet. Here it is.
Okay.
Where was that invented? Where was South Beach?
Well, America. It's come from America, as they all do. This is the only one that's based on some sort of scientific research. The basic premise is that we eat far too many refined carbohydrates and foods that release their sugars very quickly into our bloodstream. And so this diet is aimed at cutting all of those out of your diet. It's in 3 phases, and the first phase, you don't eat any carbohydrate-y type things, so bread and potatoes and pasta, it's get rid of it all.
How long does that phase last?
That's about 2 weeks that lasts for.
Yes.
And then the second phase is you trying to get to your target weight, and the third phase is a maintenance phase. It's essentially not too bad as diets go. I'm not a huge fan of diets, but it's not too bad because the fact that it is based on scientific evidence that when we're eating a lot of refined carbohydrates, we do get this big surge of blood sugar, and then the body has to counteract that by bringing the blood sugar back down, which is why we often end up with food cravings and feeling tired and quite lethargic. And this really promotes a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, a lot of lean.
I think anyone who
meat.
sees this diet on a table will think, oh, now this is looking good.
The
Any
only-
diet that's got a little bit of chocolate in it can't be all bad.
Actually, the chocolate's there to say that that's cut out, because that's one of the
Yes.
refined carbohydrates.
Last to
So
see.
the white bread, the sugar and the sweeties, but
Yes.
That's a
and the
shame.
potatoes are out for the first
So
2
it's
weeks.
just this
Well,
little split
actually-
down here.
Not even that loaf there,
Yeah.
just this.
Well, that's there to say brown bread can come back in phases.
Eventually.
Eventually, but, you know, sort of healthier, high fibre breads are sort of encouraged. But the bad thing is it does totally cut out fruit in the first 2 weeks, and any diet that tells you to cut out or cut back on fruit or vegetables is not going to be a good thing, because they are such healthy foods to eat.
Brilliant. OK, well, let's meet Leslie now. And this is her before history. There she is. 32, driving instructor. She was 17 stone 6. And how is she now? Here she is. Good morning.
Morning.
Was it hell?
Absolutely.
What was the worst bit?
The first 7 days were really, really bad, and I cut phase 1 down to 1 week. I couldn't go to the 2 weeks. My body was telling me not to do it.
Luckily, Leslie naturally added fruit back in, didn't you?
I did.
And you're also a vegetarian, so if it was
Yes.
even more difficult, because obviously one of the things you can eat, even in the first phase, is lean meat and fish and chicken, and because Leslie doesn't eat that, it became more difficult.
Well, you lost, though. How much?
£10.
So although it was agony, it has had a result.
I'm over the moon.
Oh, good.
Will you
Excellent.
continue?
I'll keep some of it,
Yes.
but not all.
Pick and choose.
Yeah.
I think, again, the key thing, the reason these people have lost weight is because, essentially, although it's packaged up in lots of different ways, what they've actually done is they've cut calories, they've cut out all the rubbish, they've cut drinking a lot less alcohol, and therefore less calories in, the more weight that's going to
And no matter
lost.
how much you spend on fatty diets and you spend on expensive books and you go on all sorts of schemes, generally, most medical people, most nutritionists, most personal trainers that the stars may have will say, if you are on a balanced diet and you take regular exercise, that's the best way to lose the weight.
It's the small things that you do every day that make sure that this time next year, in the lead up to Christmas, you're going to be the weight that you want to be. It's not the big things you do just occasionally now and then.
Very good message.
Terrific.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much. And thank you, girls. They were wonderful guinea pigs. I don't think I could have coped with that for 3 weeks. Anyway, still to come today, Richmond Rugby Club put the latest in male underwear through a very rigorous and unique test.